This is Cashology by FMBO, a podcast devoted to the art and science of managing your money. It's like school, but your only homework is living your best financial life. Class is now in session. The term financial planning quarterback, it has become a bit of a cliche. Sometimes it refers to having a financial advisor as your financial planning quarterback, but sometimes, and this seems to be growing in popularity, it refers to how you can be the quarterback of your own finances. And that's what we want to talk about today. If you want to be the quarterback of your finances, what do you need to do? And how do you start? Welcome and thanks for listening to the Cashology podcast, hosted by your guide on the path to financial savvy, me, Julie Wyans. Today, I'm delighted to introduce our guest, Samantha Horn, a universal banker out of our Colorado branch. Hi, Samantha.
Hi.
Welcome. We're very excited to have you. I'd love to learn more about what a universal banker does and how you can help us become a quarterback of our own finances.
Yeah, of course. So a universal banker is basically part teller, part banker. So most of the time, bankers are behind the desks and they do most of the account maintenance. But one of the advantages I have is I still get to talk to most of the customers that come in as a teller, and then I can help them more just through regular conversation.
That's excellent. So it sounds like you are a great resource to have this discussion. But before we dive into that topic, let's get some lingo language out of the way.
You're darn tootin', sister. Investment products are not FDIC insured, not a deposit or other obligation of the bank, not insured by any federal government agency, not guaranteed by the bank, may lose value. This podcast should not be copied or reproduced without permission. Information and statements within this podcast are subject to change without notice. The Cashology podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to constitute investment advice or recommendations. First National Bank of Omaha does not make any representation or warranty as to the accuracy or completeness of any information or statements within this podcast. When making decisions about your financial situation, consult a financial professional for advice. Podcasts are not regularly updated and information may become outdated. Deposit products are offered by First National Bank of Omaha, member FDIC, equal housing lender. The Cashology podcast, copyright 2021, First National Bank of Omaha. Now let's get going! Yeah!
I really want to know, where do I start? Okay, I want to become a quarterback of my own finances. I mean, what do I do?
So basically, the first thing you would need to do is just start out with a plan. It doesn't have to be a concrete, super strict plan. Most of the time, these things, things happen. Car breaks down, whatever. You have to dip into your savings, really. So first step, start a plan that you think you can stick to that sounds pretty reasonable, and then just go from there.
I think you really hit the nail on the head with that one. What sounds reasonable? Mm-hmm. Because when we think about our finances, I know that it's so easy to feel overwhelmed because there are just so many avenues you could go down. I mean, you think about savings. Are you saving for retirement? Are you saving for an emergency? Are you saving for kids' colleges, right? I mean, there are so many different things that you could do with your money, and figuring out a very reasonable path just makes a lot of sense. And I think any quarterback would think that, right? I mean, how do you get the ball from, I don't know football that well, but how do you get the ball from one person to another, right? How do you get your money from one place to another and feel comfortable with your financial situation? So tell me more about this plan. I mean, how do I approach it? What resources do I have?
Yeah, so, bankers here at FNBO, we are all really helpful in wanting to help people with financial planning and being able to get themselves out of any hole that they've been in terms of credit card debt or collections and things like that. So one thing I really do hammer into my customers' heads is a little bit counts. If you can just put a small portion of your checks aside each paycheck or whenever you can and just not touch it, then you can use that for if you have any debts, any collections, anything like that. Some people even go as far as putting half their checks aside into an account with no debit card. You don't have to do that, obviously. That's a lot of people's checks a lot of the time, but every little bit counts when you're trying to save and you're trying to plan and get ahead like that.
You don't need to consider yourself wealthy in order to have a financial plan or lean on a financial planner or advisor, or even feel like it's, difficult or inappropriate for you to go to a personal banker or universal banker. I mean, our bank and all banks offer these resources that really help someone who feels maybe a little novice at financial planning develop what they want to do. And practice makes perfect. You said do a little at a time. You don't need to start off with a big plan right away, right? I mean, focus on one aspect, paying down credit card debt you had just mentioned. Maybe that's your entire plan. You want to figure out how to get rid of the credit card payments you're making and get them off so you can add to your savings. And that makes a lot of sense.
Exactly. Yeah. Another thing I really love helping with my customers is just sitting down with them and writing down all of their bills that come out and basically doing the math between how much money you have, what needs to be paid when, and how much money you have after. So then you can really decide on, okay, I can put $10 a check aside and just not touch it, kind of thing.
Samantha, that is my least favorite activity. I feel like I'm not alone in this. I absolutely dread writing down what I spend money on, and both from a fixed perspective, like rent or mortgage, to all of the ancillary items I purchase. I mean, it's really, it's facing yourself and facing your reality of how much you spend.
Yeah.
And it's difficult. I mean, it's certainly not an easy task.
It's not. And that's why it's one of my favorite things to do, because I'm really young. I'm only 20 years old. And so I tell all my customers, look, I buy so much Amazon. I'm not judging you based on anything that you're doing with your money. I'm just trying to help you set out a guideline basically for what you're trying to do. And I'm here to help in any avenue possible when it comes to that.
I love that. I mean, as bankers, we're people too, right? We want to help. We spend money in silly ways. Yeah. We could do a better job of savings. We're all human. And when it comes to being the quarterback of your finances, I mean, you definitely just need to tell yourself, like, you can make mistakes in your financial planning. It's just a matter of learning from your mistakes and figuring out the plan to move forward. I mean, you had mentioned credit card debt earlier.
Yeah.
Plenty of individuals find themselves with more debt than they would prefer. And in that instance, I mean, you just need to acknowledge that it happened and that you want to make a decision and an effort to fix it.
Exactly. The thing is people get so hard set on, okay, this is my plan. I cannot spend any extra money. I can't go to McDonald's. I can't get a drink from the gas station, when that's unrealistic. All of us, we stop and we get a soda from like 7-Eleven or something, and then people will do that and then feel down and just feel like they're back in that hole just because they got a little off track with their spending.
Completely. I know there's this adage of like giving up your morning latte, right? But there is a way to live your lifestyle, right, and still have and meet those financial planning goals. Definitely. I mean, so what else would a good financial quarterback do?
Really just taking accountability. Like you had said earlier, just acknowledge this happened. It shouldn't have. Like if you got, for example, like if your car got repoed, that's not a great thing to be on your credit. But it happened. All we can do now is move forward, try to pay it off, and then move on from that. So we just need to breathe, relax, everything will be okay, and just ask questions when you really need it, because at the end of the day, all of us ask questions. There's so many times where I have to go to my manager and I'm like, hey, I need help with this. And he has to do the same with his. And, it's just finding that plan, trying your best to stick to it, but not too much to where you're going to get overwhelmed.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, you hit the nail on the head with accountability. When I think about a quarterback in any sense of the word, that person is a leader and they make the decisions on behalf of the team, whether that be your family or a football team, right? And any mistakes or issues in the game of life or in football, they take responsibility for it. Yeah, it's really interesting. One other thing that I believe a good financial quarterback would do is take advantage of opportunities. So when it comes to maybe additional sources of income, a tax return or other sort of windfalls like that, where you could utilize those types of sources of income to put towards savings or to put towards paying down your credit card debt. I think it's definitely a quarterback of your finances is someone who sees those opportunities and seizes them.
Exactly. Yeah, especially during the time where we're getting, stimulus checks. And I know there are people out there who they need that money for rent and things, but for those of us who can spare it and can save it, we can put it towards our debts, or we can just put it in a savings account for, emergencies or future expenses and things like that.
Definitely. And, you had mentioned writing down all of your expenses. That's definitely the first step, right? In understanding your financial plan, just because there are things that we have to pay. And then after that, it comes budgeting, right? I mean, where am I spending my money? And we do have a previous episode on budgeting, where if you're listening and you're curious about how to build a budget specific to your needs and expenses, you can listen to that past episode. But Samantha, when it comes to building a budget, maybe utilizing the services of a universal banker or personal banker, what should a customer prepare to have that conversation?
So conversations like that, they can be a little difficult for some people, and I understand, because talking about finances and how much money you make and how much your rent is, that can be an uncomfortable conversation for a lot of people. But it's just, you got to come in with an open mind and just realize we are here to do our best and help you in any way possible, especially during this climate right now. I know COVID has been around for a little over a year, but there are still so many people struggling, and all I want to do is really help them. And same with all of my coworkers. And, we want to just sit there and have that conversation with you and be able to guide you in the right direction. Your rent is this much, you buy the expensive kind of like cereals or something, and you can do off-brand and save a couple bucks there, or couponing. You don't think that it would connect to being a banker, knowing some things like this, but these weird personal questions that I ask customers, they really do connect in some ways.
Yeah. Well, it's excellent. Samantha, I would definitely love to have you on my financial planning team.
Thank you.
You are amazing. And I hope that everyone in the Colorado area utilizes your services. And, being the quarterback of your finances, it takes planning, preparation, and execution. We just want to make sure that everyone listening feels like they don't have to have, a touchdown every single time they make a financial decision. Mm-hmm. Just keep gaining yards, make those first downs, and you'll soon achieve your goals.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Samantha, for being our guest today.
Thank you for having me. It was really fun.
To find out more info on financial products or services, go to fnbo.com. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and keep an eye out for more Cashology episodes coming your way soon.